हेलो एवरीवन, वेलकम टू द लाइव सेशन। तो आज हम शुरू करने वाले हैं एनसीईआरटी का क्लास 12 का ज्योग्राफी, जो कि है इंडिया, पीपल एंड इकोनॉमी। और आज हम देखेंगे फर्स्ट चैप्टर, जो कि हमारा है पॉपुलेशन, डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, डेंसिटी, ग्रोथ एंड कॉम्पोजिशन। तो शुरू करते हैं हमारा आज का चैप्टर। The people are very important component of a country. India is the second most populous country after China in the world, with its total population of 1028 million 2001. India's population is larger than the total population of North America, South America and Australia put together. More often, it is argued that such a large population invariably puts pressure on its limited resources and is also responsible for many socio-economic problems in the country. In this chapter, we will discuss the patterns of distribution, density, growth, and composition of India's population. Sources of population data. Population data are collected through census operation held every 10 years in our country. The first population census in India was conducted in 1872, but its first complete census was conducted only in 1881. Distribution of population. Examine figure 1.1 and try to describe the patterns of spatial distribution of population shown on it. It is clear that India has a highly uneven pattern of population distribution. The percentage share of population of the states and union territories in the country so that Uttar Pradesh has the highest population, followed by Maharashtra, Bihar and West Bengal. Check from the table that UP, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, along with Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Karnataka, and Gujarat, together account for 76% of the total population of the country. On the other hand, share of population is very small in the states like Jammu and Kashmir, 1.04%, Arunachal Pradesh 0.11%, and Uttarakhand 0.84%, in spite of the states having fairly large geographical area. Such an uneven spatial distribution of population in India suggests a close relationship between population and physical, socio-economic, and historical factors. As far as the physical factors are concerned, it is clear that climate, along with terrain and availability of water, largely determines the pattern of the population distribution. Consequently, we observe that the North Indian plains, deltas, and coastal plains have higher proportion of population than the interior districts of southern and central Indian states, Himalayas, some of the northeastern and the western states. However, development of irrigation, Rajasthan, availability of mineral and energy resources, Jharkhand, and development of transport network, peninsular states, have resulted in moderate to high concentration of population in areas which were previously very thinly populated. Among the socio-economic and historical factors of distribution of population, important ones are evolution of settled agriculture and agricultural development, pattern of human settlement, development of transport network, industrialization and urbanization. It is observed that the regions falling in the river, plains and coastal areas of India have remained the regions of larger population concentration. Even though the uses of natural resources like land and water in these regions have shown the sign of deterioration, the concentration of population remains high because of an early history of human settlement and development of transport network. On the other hand, the urban regions of Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Bangalore, Pune, Ahmedabad, Chennai, and Jaipur have high concentration of population due to industrial development and urbanization, drawing a large numbers of rural urban migrants. Density of population. Density of population is expressed as number of persons per unit area. It helps in getting a better understanding of the spatial distribution of population in relation to land. The density of population in India 2011 is 382 persons per square kilometer. There has been a steady increase of more than 200% per square kilometer over the last 50 years as the density of population increased from 117% per square kilometer in 1951 to 382 persons per square kilometer in 2011. The data shown in appendix give an idea of spectral variation of population densities in the country, which ranges from as low as 17 persons per square kilometer in Arunachal Pradesh to 11,320 persons in the National Capital Territory of Delhi. Among the northern Indian states, Bihar 1,106, West Bengal 1,028, and Uttar Pradesh 829 have higher densities, while Kerala 860 and Tamil Nadu 555 have higher densities among the peninsular Indian states. States like Assam, Gujarat, Andhra Pradesh, Haryana, Jharkhand, Odisha have moderate densities. The hill states of the Himalayan region and northeastern states of India, excluding Assam, have relatively low densities, while the Union territories, excluding Andaman and Nicobar Islands, have very high densities of population. The density of population, as discussed in the earlier paragraph, is a crude measure of human and land relationship. To get a better insight into human land ratio in terms of pressure of population on total cultivable land, the physiological and agricultural densities should be found out, which are significant for a country like India having a large agricultural population. Growth of population. Growth of population is the change in the number of people living in a particular area between 2 points of time. Its rate is expressed in percentage. Population growth has two components, namely natural and induced. While the natural growth is analyzed by assessing the crude birth and death rates, the induced components are explained by the volume of inward and outward movement of people in any given area. However, in the present chapter, we will only discuss the natural growth of India's population. The decadal and annual growth rates of population in India are both very high and steadily increasing over time. The annual growth rate of India's population is 1.64% 2011. Population doubling time. Population doubling time is the time taken by any population to double itself at its current annual growth rate. The growth rate of population in India over the last 1 century has been caused by annual birth rate and death rate and rate of migration, and thereby shows different trends. There are 4 distinct phases of growth identified within this period. Phase 1. The period from 1901 to 1921 is referred to as the period of stagnant or stationary phase of growth of India's population. Since in this period growth rate was very low, even recording a negative growth rate during 1911 to 1921. Both the birth rate and death rate were high, keeping the rate of increase low. Poor health and medical services, illiteracy of people at large, and inefficient distribution system of food and other basic necessities were largely responsible for a high birth and death rates in this period. Phase 2. The decades 1921 to 1951 are referred to as the period of steady population growth and overall improvement in health and sanitation throughout the country brought down the mortality rate. At the same time, better transport and communication system improved distribution system. The growth birth rate remained high in this period, leading to higher growth rate than the previous phase. This is impressive at the backdrop of Great Economic Depression 1920s and World War II. Phase 3. The decades 1951 to 1981 are referred to as the period of population explosion in India, which was caused by a rapid fall in the mortality rate but a high fertility rate of population in the country. The average annual growth rate was as high as 2.2%. It is in this period after the independence that developmental activities were introduced through a centralized planning process and economy started showing off, ensuring the an improvement of living conditions of people at large. Consequently, there was a high natural increase and higher growth rate. Besides, increased international migration bringing in Tibetans, Bangladeshis, Nepalis, and even people from Pakistan contributed to the high growth rate. Phase 4. In the post 1981 till present, the growth rate of country's population, though remained high, has started slowing down gradually. A downward trend of crude birth rate is held responsible for such a population growth. This was in turn affected by an increase in the mean age at marriage, improved quality of life, particularly education of females in the country. The growth rate of population is however still high in the country, and it has been projected by World Development Report that population of India will touch 1,350 million by 2025. The analysis done so far shows the average growth rate, but the country also has wide variation in growth rates from one area to another, which is discussed below. Regional variation in population growth. The growth rate of population during 1991 to 2001 in Indian states and union territories shows very obvious patterns. The states like Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Puducherry, and Goa saw a low rate of growth not exceeding 20% over the decade. Kerala registered the lowest growth rate, 9.4, not only in this group of states but also in the country as a whole. A continuous belt of states from west to east in the northwest, north, and north central parts of the country has relatively high growth rate than the southern states. It is in this belt comprising Gujarat, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh, Sikkim, Assam, West Bengal, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, and Jharkhand. The growth rate on the average remained 20 to 25%. During 2001 to 2011, the growth rates of almost all states and union territories have registered a lower figure compared to the previous decade, namely 1991 to 2001. The percentage decadal growth rates of the six most populous states, namely Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, and Madhya Pradesh have all fallen during 2001 to 11 compared to 1991 to 2001. The fall being the lowest for Andhra Pradesh, 3.5% percentage points, and highest for Maharashtra, 6.7 percentage points. Tamil Nadu, 3.9 percentage points, and Puducherry, 7.1 percentage percentage points have registered some increase during 2001 to 11 over the previous decade. An important aspect of population growth in India is the growth of its adolescents. At present, the share of adolescents, that means up to the age of 10 to 19 years, is about 20.9% 2011, among which male adolescents constitute 52.7%, male adolescents constitute 52.7% and female adolescents constitute 47.3%. The adolescent population, though regarded as the youthful population having high potentials, but at the same time they are quite vulnerable if not guided and channelized properly. There are many challenges for the society as far as these adolescents are concerned, some of which are lower at age at marriage, illiteracy, particular female illiteracy, school dropouts, low intake of nutrients, high rate of maternal mortality of adolescent mothers, high rates of HIV or AIDS infections, physical and mental disability or retardedness, drug abuse and alcoholism, juvenile delinquency and committance of crime, etc. In view of this, the Government of India has undertaken certain policies to impact proper education to the adolescent groups so that their talents are better channelized and properly utilized. The National Youth Policy is one example which has been designed to look into the overall development of our large youth and adolescent population. The National Youth Policy of Government of India, launched in 2003, stresses on an all-round improvement of the youth and adolescents, enabling them to shoulder responsibility towards constructive development of the country. It also aims at reinforcing the qualities of patriotism and responsible citizenship. The thrust of this policy is youth empowerment in terms of their effective participation in decision making and carrying the responsibility of an able leader. Special emphasis was given in empowering women and girl child to bring parity in the male female status. Moreover, deliberate efforts were made to look into youth health, sports and recreation, creativity and awareness about new innovations in the spheres of science and technology. It appears from the above discussion that the growth rate of population is widely variant over space and time in the country, growth of population and also highlights various social problems related to the growth of population. However, in order to have a better insight into the growth pattern of population, it is also necessary to look into the social composition of population. Population composition. Population composition is a distinct field of study within population geography with a vast coverage of analysis of age and sex, place of residence, ethnic characteristics, tribes, language, religion, marital status, literacy and education, occupational characteristics, etc. In this section, the composition of Indian population with respect to their rural-urban characteristics, language, religion, and pattern of occupation will be discussed. Rural-urban composition. Composition of population by their respective places of residence is an important indicator of social and economic characteristics. This becomes even more significant for a country where about 68.8% of its total population lives in villages. 2011. Do you know that India has 640,867 villages according to the census 2011, out of which 597,608, 93.2% are inhabited villages. However, the distribution of rural population is not uniform throughout the country. You might have noted that the states like Bihar and Sikkim have very high percentage of rural population. The states of Goa and Maharashtra have only little over half of their total population residing in villages. The Union Territories, on the other hand, have smaller proportion of rural population, except Dadra and Nagar Haveli 53.38%. The size of villages also varies considerably. It is less than 200 persons in the hill states of northeastern India, western Rajasthan and Rann of Kutch, and as high as 17,000 persons in the state of Kerala and in parts of Maharashtra. A thorough examination of the pattern of distribution of rural population of India reveals that both at intrastate and interstate levels, the relative degree of urbanization and extent of rural-urban migration regulate the concentration of rural population. You have noted that contrary to rural population, the proportion of urban population 31.16% in India is quite low, but it is showing a much faster rate of growth over the decades. The growth rate of urban population has accelerated due to enhanced economic development and improvement in health and hygienic conditions. The distribution of urban population too, as in the case of total population, has a wide variation throughout the country. It is, however, noticed that in almost all the states and union territories, there has been a considerable increase of urban population. This indicates both development of urban areas in terms of socio-economic conditions and an increased rate of rural-urban migration. The rural-urban migration is conspicuous in the case of urban areas along the main road links and railroads in the northern Indian plains, the industrial areas around Kolkata, Bombay, Bengaluru, Mysore, Madurai, Coimbatore, Ahmedabad, Surat, Delhi, Kanpur, and Ludhiana, Jalandhar. In the agriculturally stagnant parts of the middle and lower Ganga plains, Telangana, non-irrigated western Rajasthan, remote hilly tribal areas of northeast, along the flood-prone areas of peninsular India, and along eastern part of Madhya Pradesh, the degree of urbanization has remained low. Linguistic composition. India is a land of linguistic diversity. According to Grayson Linguistic Survey of India 1903 to 1928, there were 179 languages and as many as 544 dialects in the country. In the context of modern India, there are about 22 scheduled languages and a number of non-scheduled languages. See how many languages appear on a 10 rupees note. Among the scheduled languages, the speakers of Hindi have the highest percentage. The smallest language groups are Kashmiri and Sanskrit speakers. However, it is noticed that the linguistic regions in the country do not maintain a sharp and distinct boundary, rather they gradually merge and overlap in their respective border zones. Linguistic classifications. The speakers of major Indian languages belong to four language families, which have their subfamilies and branches or groups. This can be better understood from Table 1.2. Religious composition. Religion is one of the most dominant forces affecting the cultural and political life of the most of Indians. Since religion virtually permeates into almost all the aspects of people's family and community lives, it is important to study the religious composition in detail. Classification of modern Indian language. Family, subfamily, branch or group, speech areas. Austric, Nisada 1.38%. Austroasiatic, Austronesian. Mon Khmer, Munda. Meghalaya, Nicobar Islands, West Bengal, Bihar, Orissa, Assam, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, outside India. Dravidian, Dravida 20%. South Dravidian, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala. Central Dravidian, Andhra Pradesh, MP, Orissa, Maharashtra. North Dravidian, Bihar, Orissa, West Bengal, Madhya Pradesh. Sino-Tibetan, Kirata 0.85%. Tibeto-Myanmari, Tibetan Himalaya, Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Sikkim, North Assam, Arunachal Pradesh. Siamese Chinese, Assam, Myanmari, Assam, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya. Indo-European Aryan 73%. Indo-Aryan Iranian outside India, Dardik, Jammu and Kashmir, Indo-Aryan, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, UP, Rajasthan, Haryana, MP, Bihar, Orissa, West Bengal, Assam, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa. The spatial distribution of religious communities in the country shows that there are certain states and districts having large numerical strength of one religion while the same may be very negligibly represented in other states. Hindus are distributed as major group in many states ranging from 70 to 90% and above, except the districts of states along Indo-Bangladesh border, Indo-Pak border, Jammu and Kashmir, hill state of northeast and in scattered areas of Deccan Plateau and Ganga Plain. Muslims, the largest religious minority, are concentrated in Jammu and Kashmir, certain districts of West Bengal and Kerala, many districts of Uttar Pradesh, in and around Delhi, and in Lakshadweep. They form majority in Kashmir Valley and Lakshadweep. Religion and landscape. Formal expression of religions on landscape is manifested through sacred structures, use of symmetries and assemblages of plants and animals, groves of trees for religious purposes. Sacred structures are widely distributed throughout the country. These may range from inconspicuous village shrines to large Hindu temples, monumental masjids, or ornately designed cathedrals in large metropolitan cities. These temples, masjids, gurudwaras, monasteries, and churches differ in size, form, space, use, and density, while attributing a spatial dimension to the total landscape of the area. The Christian population is distributed mostly in rural areas of the country. The main concentration is observed along the western coast around Goa, Kerala, and also in the hill states of Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Chota Nagpur area, and hills of Manipur. Sikhs are mostly concentrated in relatively small area of the country, particularly in the states of Punjab, Haryana, and Delhi. Jains and Buddhists, the smallest religious groups in India, have their concentration only in selected areas of country. Jains have major concentration in the urban areas of Rajasthan, Gujarat, and Maharashtra, while the Buddhists are concentrated mostly in Maharashtra. The other areas of Buddhist majority are Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Ladakh in Jammu and Kashmir, Tripura and Lahore and Spiti in Himachal Pradesh. The other religions of India include Zoroastrians, tribal and other indigenous faiths and beliefs. These groups are concentrated in small pockets scattered throughout the country. Composition of working population. The population of India, according to their economic status, is divided into three groups, namely main workers, marginal workers, and non workers. It is observed that in India, the proportion of workers, both main and marginal, is only 39.8% 2011, leaving a vast majority of about 60% as non workers. This indicates an economic status in which there is a larger proportion of dependent population, further indicating possible existence of large number of unemployed or underemployed people. Standard census definition. Main worker is the person who works for at least 183 days or 6 months in a year. Marginal worker is a person who works for less than 183 days or 6 months in a year. The proportion of working population of the states and union territories show a moderate variation from about 39.6% in Goa to about 49.9% in Daman and Diu. The states with larger percentage of workers are Himachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Chhattisgarh, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, and Meghalaya. Among the union territories, Dadar and Nagar Haveli and Daman and Diu have higher participation rate. It is understood that in the context of a country like India, the work participation rate tends to be higher in the areas of lower levels of economic development, since number of manual workers are needed to perform the subsistence or near subsistence economic activities. The occupational composition of India's population, which actually means engagement of an individual in farming, manufacturing, trade, services, or any kind of professional activities, shows a large proportion of primary sector workers compared to secondary and tertiary sectors. About 54.6% of total working population are cultivators and agricultural laborers, whereas only 3.8% of workers are engaged in household industries and 41.6% are other workers including non-household industries, trade, commerce, construction and repair and other services. As far as the occupation of country's male and female population is concerned, male workers outnumber female workers in all the three sectors. Occupational categories. The 2011 census has divided the working population of India into four major categories: cultivators, agricultural laborers, household industrial workers, other workers. The number of female workers is relatively high in primary sector, though in recent years there has been some improvement in work participation of women in secondary and tertiary sectors. It is important to note that the proportion of workers in agriculture sector in India has shown a decline over the last few decades, 58.2% in 2001 to 54.6% in 2011. Consequently, the participation rate in secondary and tertiary sector has registered an increase. This indicates a shift of dependence of workers from farm-based occupation to non-farm-based ones, indicating a sectoral shift in the economy of the country. The spatial variation of work participation rate in different sectors in the country is very wide. For instance, the states like Himachal Pradesh and Nagaland have very large shares of cultivators. On the other hand, states like Bihar, Andhra Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Odisha, Jharkhand, West Bengal, and Madhya Pradesh have higher proportion of agricultural laborers. The highly urbanized areas like Delhi, Chandigarh, and Puducherry have a very large proportion of workers being engaged in other services. This indicates not only availability of limited farming land but also large scale urbanization and industrialization requiring more workers in non-farm sectors. तो इसी के साथ ये चैप्टर कंप्लीट हो गया है और ये है इस चैप्टर का एक्सरसाइज। तो ये चैप्टर थोड़ा छोटा था तो हम अभी सेकेंड चैप्टर भी शुरू कर देंगे जो कि है माइग्रेशन टाइप्स कॉजेस एंड कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस। तो शुरू करते हैं। Ram Babu, working as an engineer in Bhilai steel plant, Chhattisgarh, was born in a small village of district Bhojpur, Bihar. At an early age of 12, he moved to a nearby town, Ara, to complete his intermediate level studies. He went to Sindri, Jharkhand for his engineering degree and he got a job at Bhilai, where he is living for the last 31 years. His parents were illiterate and the only source of their livelihood was his income from agriculture. They spent their whole life in that village. Ram Babu has 3 children who got their education up to the intermediate level at Bhilai and then moved to different places for higher education. First one studied at Allahabad and Mumbai and is presently working in Delhi as a scientist. The second child got her higher education from different universities in India and is now working in USA. The third one, after finishing her education, settled at Surat after marriage. This is not a story of only Ram Babu and his children, but such moments are increasingly becoming a universal trend. People have been moving from one village to another, from villages to towns, from smaller towns to bigger towns, and from one country to another. In your book Fundamentals of Human Geography, you have already learned about the concept and definition of migration. Migration has been an integral part and a very important factor in redistributing population over time and space. India has witnessed the waves of migrants coming to the country from Central and West Asia and also from Southeast Asia. In fact, the history of India is a history of waves of migrants coming and settling one after another in different parts of the country. In the words of a renowned poet, Firak Gorakhpuri, सरजमीन ए हिंद पर अक़वाम ए आलम के फिराक कारवान बसते गए हिंदुस्तान बनता गया. The caravans of people from all parts of the world kept on coming and settling in India and led to the formation of India. Similarly, large numbers of people from India too have been migrating to places in search of better opportunities, especially to the countries of the Middle East, Western Europe, America, Australia, and East and Southeast Asia. Indian diaspora. During colonial period, British period, millions of the indentured laborers were sent to Mauritius, Caribbean islands, Trinidad, Tobago, and Guyana, Fiji, and South Africa by British from Uttar Pradesh and Bihar to Reunion Island, Guadeloupe, Martinique, and Suriname by French and Dutch, and by Portuguese from Goa, Daman and Diu to Angola, Mozambique to work as plantation workers. All such migrations were covered under the time-bound contract known as Girmith Act, Indian Immigration Act. However, the living conditions of these indentured laborers were not better than the slaves. The second wave of migrants ventured out into the neighboring countries in recent times as professionals, artisans, traders, and factory workers in search of economic opportunities to Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, Brunei, and African countries, etc. And the trend still continues. There was a steady outflow of India's semi-skilled and skilled labor in the wake of the oil boom in West Asia in the 1970s. There was also some outflow of entrepreneurs, store owners, professionals, businessmen to Western countries. Third wave of migrant was comprised professionals like doctors, engineers, 1960s onwards, software engineers, management consultants, financial experts, media persons, 1980 onwards, and others migrated to countries such as USA, Canada, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Germany, etc. These professionals enjoy the distinction of being one of highly educated, the highest earning and prospering groups. After liberalization in the 90s, education and knowledge based Indian immigration has made Indian diaspora one of the most powerful diasporas in the world. In all these countries, Indian diaspora has been playing an important role in the development of the respective countries. Migration. You are familiar with census in India. It contains information about migration in the country. Actually, migration was recorded beginning from the first census of India conducted in 1881. This data was recorded on the basis of place of birth. However, the first major modification was introduced in 1961 census by bringing two additional components, viz. Place of birth, that means village or town, and duration of residence if born elsewhere. Further, in 1971, additional information on place of last residence and duration of stay at the place of enumeration were incorporated. Information on reasons for migration were incorporated in 1981 census and modified in consecutive census. In the census, the following questions are asked on migration. Is the person born in this village or town? If no, then further information is taken on rural or urban status of the place of birth, name of district and state, and if outside India, the name of the country of birth. Has the person come to this village or town from elsewhere? If yes, then further questions are asked about the status, rural or urban, of previous place of residence, name of district and state, and if outside India, the name of the country. In addition, reasons for migration from the place of last residence and duration of residence in place of enumeration are also asked. In the census of India, migration is enumerated on two bases. First, place of birth, if the place of birth is different from the place of enumeration, known as lifetime migrant. Second, place of residence, if the place of last residence is different from the place of enumeration, known as migrant by place of last residence. Can you imagine the proportion of migrants in the population of India? As per 2001 census, out of 1029 million people in country, 307 million, 30%, were reported as migrants by place of birth. However, this figure was 315 million, 31% in case of place of last residence. Streams of migration. A few facts pertaining to the internal migration within the country and international migration out of the country and into the country from other countries are presented here. Under the internal migration, four streams are identified. First, rural to rural, R to R. Second, rural to urban, R to U. Third, urban to urban. And fourth, urban to rural. In India during 2001, out of 315 million migrants enumerated on the basis of last residence, 98 million had changed their place of residence in the last 10 years. Out of these, 81 millions were intra-state migrants. The stream was dominated by female migrants. Most of these migrants related to marriage. The distribution of male and female migrants in different streams of intrastate and interstate migration is presented in figure. It is clearly evident that females predominate the stream of short distance rural to rural migration in both types of migration. Contrary to this, men predominate the rural to urban stream of interstate migration due to economic reasons. Apart from these streams of internal migration, India also experiences immigration from and emigration to the neighboring countries. Table 2.1 presents the details of migrants from neighboring countries. Indian Census 2001 has recorded that more than 5 million persons have migrated to India from other countries. Out of these, 96% came from neighboring countries. Bangladesh 3 million, followed by Pakistan 0.9 million and Nepal 0.5 million. Included in these are 0.16 million refugees from Tibet, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, and Myanmar. As far as emigration from India is concerned, it is estimated that there are around 20 million people of Indian diaspora spread across 110 countries. Spatial variation in migration. Some states like Maharashtra, Delhi, Gujarat, and Haryana attract migrants from other states such as Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, etc. Maharashtra occupied first place in the list with 2.3 million net in migrants, followed by Delhi, Gujarat, and Haryana. On the other hand, Uttar Pradesh minus 2.6 million and Bihar minus 1.7 million were the states which had the largest number of net out migrants from the state. Among the urban agglomeration, UA, Greater Mumbai received the higher number of in migrants. Interstate migration constituted the largest share in it. These differences are largely due to the size of the state in which these urban agglomerations are located. Causes of migration. People generally are emotionally attached to their place of birth, but millions of people leave their place of birth and residence. There could be variety of reasons. These reasons can be put into two broad categories. First, push factor. These cause people to leave their place of residence or origin, and second, pull factor, which attract the people from different places. In India, people migrate from rural to urban areas mainly due to poverty, high population, pressure on land, lack of basic infrastructural facility like healthcare, education, etc. Apart from these factors, natural disasters such as flood, drought, cyclonic storms, earthquake, tsunami, wars, and local conflicts also give extra push to migrate. On the other hand, there are pull factors which attract people from rural areas to cities. The most important pull factor for majority of the rural migrants to urban areas is the better opportunities, availability of regular work, and relatively higher wages. Better opportunities for education, better health facilities, and sources of entertainment, etc., are also quite important pull factors. Examine the reasons for migration for males and females separately. On the basis of the figures, it can be seen that reasons for migration of males and females are different. For example, work and employment have remained the main cause for male migration 38%, while it is only 3% for the females. Contrary to this, about 65% of females move out from their parental houses following their marriage. This is the most important cause in the rural areas of India, except in Meghalaya, where reverse is the case. In comparison to this, marriage migration of the male is only 2% in the country. Consequences of migration. Migration is a response to the uneven distribution of opportunities over space. People tend to move more from place of low opportunity and low safety to the place of higher opportunity and better safety. This in turn creates both benefits and problems for the areas people migrate from and migrate to. Consequences can be observed in economic, social, cultural, political, and demographic terms. Economic consequences. A major benefit for the source region is the remittance sent by migrants. Remittances from the international migrants are one of the major sources of foreign exchange. In 2002, India received $11 billion as remittances from international migrants. Punjab, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu received very significant amount from their international migrants. The amount of remittances sent by the international migrants is very minute as compared to international migrants, but it plays an important role in the growth of economy of the source area. Remittances are mainly used for food, repayment of debts, treatment, marriages, children's education, agricultural inputs, construction of houses, etc. For thousands of the poor villages of Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, etc., remittance work as lifeblood for their economy. Migration from rural area of eastern Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh and Orissa to the rural areas of Punjab, Haryana, western Uttar Pradesh accounted for the success of their Green Revolution strategy for agricultural development. Besides this, unregulated migration to the metropolitan cities of India has caused overcrowding. Development of slums in industrially developed states such as Maharashtra, Gujarat, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Delhi is a negative consequence of unregulated migration within the country. Demographic consequences. Migration leads to the redistribution of the population within a country. Rural urban migration is one of the important factors contributing to the population growth of cities. Age and skill selective out migration from the rural area have adverse effect on the rural demographic structures. However, high out migration from Uttarakhand, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and eastern Maharashtra have brought serious imbalances in age and sex composition in these states. Similar imbalances are also brought in the recipient's state. What is the cause of imbalance in sex ratio in the place of origin and destination of the migrants? Social consequences. Migrants act as agents of social change. The new ideas related to new technologies, family planning, girls' education, etc., get diffused from urban to rural areas through them. Migration leads to intermixing of people from diverse cultures. It has positive contributions such as evolution of composite culture and breaking through the narrow considerations and widens of the mental horizon of the people at large. But it also has serious negative consequences such as anonymity, which creates social vacuum and sense of dejection among individuals. Continued feeling of dejection may motivate people to fall in the trap of antisocial activities like crime and drug abuse. Environmental consequences. Overcrowding of people due to rural urban migration has put pressure on the existing social and physical infrastructure in the urban areas. This ultimately leads to unplanned growth of urban settlement and formation of slummy shanty colonies. Apart from this, due to over-exploitation of natural resources, cities are facing the acute problem of depletion of groundwater, air pollution, disposal of sewage, and management of solid waste. Others, migration, even excluding the marriage migration, affects the status of women directly or indirectly. In the rural areas, male selective outmigration leaving their wives behind puts extra physical as well as mental pressure on the women. Migration of women, either for education or employment, enhances their autonomy and role in the economy, but also increases their vulnerability. If remittances are the major benefits of migration from the point of view of the source region, the loss of human resources, particularly highly skilled people, is the most serious cost. The market for advanced skills has become truly a global market, and the most dynamic industrial economies are admitting and recruiting significant proportion of the highly trained professionals from poor regions. Consequently, the existing underdevelopment in the source region gets reinforced. और ये है इस चैप्टर का एक्सरसाइज। तो हमारा सेकेंड चैप्टर भी कंप्लीट होता है और आज हमने 1 और 2 चैप्टर कंप्लीट कर दिया है। तो अगर आप चैनल पर नए हैं तो चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर दीजिए और नोटिफिकेशन आइकन पर क्लिक कर दीजिए ताकि आप डेली लाइव क्लास ज्वाइन कर सकें। साथ ही अगर आपको वीडियो अच्छा लगे तो लाइक कर दीजिए और अपने दोस्तों के साथ शेयर कर दीजिए ताकि उन्हें भी हेल्प हो सके। तो हमारा ये सेशन यहीं तक था। थैंक यू, थैंक्स फॉर ज्वाइनिंग।